In this video, we're going to take some of the ideas from Unit 3 about costs and marginal revenue and all of that, put it all together and draw some graphs and analyze perfect competition. And there's quite a bit here to do with this one video. So let's get started. The first question and the second one are about just in general about the perfectly competitive firm. For a perfectly competitive firm, they should operate if the price is greater than, and we could probably say equal to as well. They'd be ambivalent, excuse me, if it was greater than or equal to the AVC. And their break-even price is price equals ATC. So basically, we know that the price is as long as it's above the ATC, the firm is actually going to be earning money. So we'd say that if P is greater than ATC, the firm's earning a profit. But if it's less than ATC, the firm is losing money. And then if it's below AVC, the other way to say this, if P is less than AVC, they should shut down, because they can't cover all of their fixed costs, even if the price is below the AVC. For a perfectly competitive firm supply curve, the MC is equal to supply for the firm, in the range of MC above the minimum. So if we know what an MC curve looks like, you kind of visualize it as that Nike swoosh. The bottom part of the swoosh and off to the right, that's actually the supply curve for the firm. So now we're going to switch gears. I'm going to draw some pictures here using my stylus. So this is always the fun part because I'm still learning, even though I've been doing it for a while. Draw side-by-side graphs of a perfectly competitive market and firm in equilibrium. So there's a decent chance on the 2020 exam you're going to be asked to analyze this sort of thing. You won't be asked on the 2020 exam to actually draw it, but if you're watching this in the future, this is almost always one of the things they ask you to do. So we've got a demand and supply, and that's the market side. And we'd always want to label the equilibrium quantity and price over here. And because this firm is a price taker, we're going to dash that line over and then put here, this is the marginal revenue, demand, average revenue, and price. And so MR equals demand equals average revenue equals the price. Mr. DARP is the same thing here. We're going to do a MC curve, which is equal to the supply curve for this firm. And the firm always is going to produce profit maximize at MR equals MC. So that's the quantity the firm produces. And then we're going to draw two more lines, the AVC and the ATC. Now in equilibrium, the ATC is going to come down, hit its minimum, and come back up again, right there, where all the lines cross, and the AVC will be below it. Now, you can see here that the AVC doesn't really tell us much, right? It's not telling us there's no profit, there's no loss. In equilibrium, they have what we call normal profit. And that's the idea that there's zero economic profit being earned because the price is equal to the ATC at Q star. Now let's take a look at what the next couple pictures are going to look like. I'm going to scroll just a little bit, give myself some more space here. And this next one says that, that we're going to be drawing it in profit. So it's the same graph basic structure, but we're going to change where we put a couple of the lines. So quantity and price first. And we're going to put the demand curve here, and instead of the supply curve being kind of in the middle, in order for the firm to be earning a profit, that means the price is going to be greater than the ATC. So just to make this slightly easier on yourselves, I would say put that supply curve here, make the price up here nice and high so that you leave yourself some room when you go to graph on the right. And it doesn't change any of the assumptions or anything. It's just that we just want that Mr. DARP to be a little bit higher for us when we go to graph. So then we've got our MC. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the ATC right in the same spot as it was before. And I'm going to leave that AVC off, or else it'll get a little bit messy, but it would be there. It would be beneath the ATC. And now I'm going to draw a quick box to show here's where they produce, or here's the profit, I should say. So they produce at MR equals MC. That's the quantity. And we already know the price is here, so we're good there. But this means because the price is bigger than the ATC, they have profit. So from the price down to the ATC and then over. Now, notice I'm kind of exaggerating where that over is, but it doesn't include that bottom part of the little kind of half moon shape almost. It doesn't include that area underneath the green box. It's just that box from price to ATC and then over. And that's the profit box. Okay. Now we're going to draw the loss. And it says that they're at the operating loss. So that means price is going to be greater than AVC, but it will be less than ATC. So the price is going to be kind of lower than we want. It's not going to be super low, but it'll be lower than the first picture and lower than the second one. So we're going to draw our two graphs side by side. And again, the easier thing to do is just kind of pick a spot here so that the price is just a little bit lower. And we've got an equilibrium price in the market, the quantity and all of that, and then dashed line and over. So I tried to make Mr. DARP a little bit lower, but if yours ends up in the middle, it's not the end of the world. Now, the next part, right, is going to be put that marginal cost curve on. And we know our ATC, we're going to be producing at MR equals MC. Right, so that's the quantity. But at that quantity, we want the ATC to be higher than the price. So we're going to come down, hit a spot here, come back up again. And that's telling us because the ATC at this quantity is up here, it's above the price, that means the firm's earning a loss. Now it's operating, so that actually tells us that somewhere down here is going to have to be the AVC. So we'll put here and come back down and come back up again. So that's telling us, hey, the firm's price is above the AVC at Q star, but notice that the price is between ATC and AVC. And now we're going to shade the loss rectangle, and it goes from the ATC down to the price and over. Okay, so this is our loss rectangle. And then, right, there's no really easy way to draw this shutdown loss, although we're going to do that as best we can. A shutdown loss is one where the price is, it's easier to say it this way, the ATC is bigger than the AVC, which is bigger than the price. So the price is going to be, of the three dots, right, you've got three dots here. Of the three dots, the price is going to be the lowest dot on the list. So let's start here, over here, Q. Boy, these are getting rougher and rougher, aren't they? I feel your pain if you struggle with graphing on these, because this is not that easy. Now to make this one look really right, we're going to make the price kind of low as well, because the price is just too low for this firm to even be operating. It's going to be a little wonky when we go to graph it. So we have a Mr. DARP, and then we're going to have up here the MC curve, and we know the firm produces at MR equals MC, except they're not going to produce. They don't want to produce. This is where they would if they were doing the wrong thing. But we're gonna extend it. We're going to say we're going to have a couple more dots. Right? And think of these dots as ATC, AVC, and P. And the lowest one is the price. So this next one that comes down and goes back up is going to be AVC. And the next one that comes down, hits its minimum, and comes back up is ATC. Now, the firm is just going to shut down. They're not going to operate. If they did operate, they would lose a huge amount of distance. They would lose the distance between this ATC dot and this price dot. So that's a great big honking box, right? That would be a great big box of red. Instead, what the firm's going to do is shut down, and the only thing they lose is their fixed cost. If they lose their fixed cost, then it's that distance between ATC, that distance between those is the AFC. And if we multiply AFC times the quantity, that just gives us the fixed cost. So that box is how much they'll lose in the shutdown. So the last question on here says, why do perfectly competitive firms always earn normal profit in the long run? And there's actually a fairly straightforward answer. It's that if we had a situation like in question 5 where they were operating at a loss, or in question 4 where they were at a profit, if they weren't in normal, so if they were in profit or loss, other firms would enter or exit the market, shifting the S curve. So that would be the supply curve that's actually over in this area. This curve will move back and forth as more and more firms enter or exit, right? So in the case of these, you would see exit, and in these, you would see entry. Sorry, my handwriting's nice and bad because I flipped my laptop over. So the entry would happen in cases where there's a profit, and the S curve would shift to the right, and that would push the new price down, and this is going to be super messy. And it's going to be basically right here, And then in this example, the exit example, right, the S curve would shift to the left, and it would shift to the left until you got that new line going straight across at ATC. I know that that's pretty messy, but you're not going to have to graph, at least on the 2020 exam, so that's a helpful thing there. But if they aren't in normal, like in other words, if they're in 4 and 5, other firms enter and exit, and that shifts the S curve. Hopefully this helps you. I'll see you next time.